I can't stop staring at those empty chairs. The California sun bathes everything in golden light Mark's face. The garden flowers, the paper programs fluttering in guest hands. It should be perfect. But my eyes keep darting to the front row where two vacant seats mock me with their emptiness. The handwritten reserved for parents of the bride. Signs flutter in the gentle breeze, drawing more attention to their absence than their presence ever could. Mark squeezes my hand, his eyes meeting mine with quiet understanding. He knows. We both do. They're not coming. The officiant's words fade to background noise as my mind spirals back to this morning. I checked my phone for the 100th Timino calls. No texts, no explanation, nothing but silence. The digital invitation showed red 3 weeks ago. The mailed copy had confirmed delivery. They knew exactly when and where to be. Jessica? The officiant's gentle prompt pulls me back. Right. My vows. I force a smile, determined not to let their absence poison this moment. I do, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. Mark's warm eyes anchor me as he says his own. I do. His thumb traces small circles on my hander. Private code for, I'm here, I've got you. The memory of my mother's reaction to our engagement floods back uninvited. Are you sure? She'd asked, her eyes skimming my body. You should lose weight before trying on wedding dresses. No congratulations, no excitement. Just criticism wrapped in concern, her specialty. My father had barely looked up from his newspaper. Was all he offered before asking if Lauren had called that week. Lauren, my sister, the golden child. The memory shifts to my childhood bedroom, 11-year-old me clutching a straight-A report card. Good job, Dad had said distantly before returning to his laptop. 2 weeks later, Lauren's BGO1 art project warranted a celebration dinner and prominent display on the living room wall. Then came my MIT acceptance letter. Mom casually placed it on the refrigerator with a fruit-shaped magnet. Mentioned it once to Aunt Susan on the phone. When Lauren got into fashion school 3 years later, they threw a party complete with catered food and hired photographers. The pattern never changed. My senior engineering promotion earned a quick congratulations text. Lauren's first fashion contract? A $15,000 celebration bash with family flying in from across the country. You may kiss the bride. Merck's lips meet mine. And for a moment, I forget about those empty chairs. The small crowd of friends and chosen family applauds. We make our way down the aisle, husband and wife. At the reception, Aunt Susan approaches while Mark gets his drinks. Her eyes hold a mixture of anger and sympathy. They told me they never received a formal invitation, she says, her voice tight. My stomach drops. What? She pulls out her phone, shows me a text from my mother timestamped this morning. So sorry we can't make it to Jessica's wedding. Never got the formal invitation. Send our love. My hands shake as I hold Susan's phone. The deliberate lie lands like a slap. They knew. They just chose not to come. They know damn well they got an invitation, Susan says. I was there when your mother opened it. Mark returns, immediately sensing my distress. His arm slides protectively around my waist. Susan looks between us, her expression softening. Your parents have always favored Lauren. We all saw it, Jess. The words I've known my entire life but never heard spoken aloud hang in the air. I always thought if I achieved enough, they'd finally see me. My voice sounds small, even to my own ears. Mark's voice is steady with quiet fury. They don't deserve you, Jess. I feel tears threatening, but I refuse to let them fall. This is supposed to be the happiest day of my life, I whisper. And then something shifts inside me. A lifetime of seeking approval from people incapable of giving it suddenly seems absurd. I straighten my shoulders, look around at the people who did show up, friends who traveled across the country, colleagues who rearranged important meetings, extended family who chose me over obligation. And you know what? I say, my voice growing stronger. It still is, because I'm starting my own family, no one, where I'm actually valued. The weight of 33 years of trying to be good enough for people who would never see me begins to lift. I take Mark's hand, feeling the new ring on his finger. For the first time in my life, I'm not reaching for something just beyond my grasp. I'm holding it right here in my hand. What would you do if your parents deliberately missed the most important day of your life? As Jessica watches her wedding video weeks later, she'll discover something that changes everything. Stay with me to see how a family's mask finally slips, revealing decades of painful truth. My coffee grows cold as I stare at my phone, fingers frozen above the screen. Mark's weight shifts on the couch beside me, his shoulder pressing against mine as he leans in. "What is it?" he asks. I wordlessly turn my phone toward him, a notification from my cousin Rachel. "Did you see Lauren's Instagram?" 6 months have passed since my wedding day. 6 months since those empty chairs. 6 months of building a life where I'm more than an afterthought. Until now. "Let's just look," Mark says, his voice steady. "Whatever it is, we'll handle it together." I nod, open Instagram, and type Lauren's username. Her latest post loads a close-up of her left hand, a diamond ring catching the light. It's enormous, at least 3 carats. Behind her hand, our parents beam with pride. Mom's arm around Lauren's shoulders, Dad's hand clapping her fiancé on the back. The caption hits like a physical blow. "So blessed to have parents who support me unconditionally. 8 months with Ryan and now forever to go." 8 months, Mark says flatly. They've been dating 8 months. I swallow hard. We'd been together 4 years when we got engaged. Mark's jaw tightens. He doesn't need to say what we're both thinking. I scroll down. More photos. Mom and Lauren touring a ballroom with crystal chandeliers. Dad inspecting manicured gardens at what looks like a country club. My mother's Facebook page is next to status update from yesterday. "Just put down a $75,000 deposit on the perfect venue for Lauren's special day. Planning begins now." My throat tightens. They couldn't even show up for my wedding, but they're spending $75,000 on hers? Mark sets his mug down with deliberate care. "After how they treated you, I'm not surprised, but it still makes my blood boil." My phone rings. Aunt Susan's name flashes on the screen. "Jessica," she says when I answer, no preamble. "I want you to know, I'm not attending her wedding." I move to our kitchen for privacy, pressing the phone closer. "What do you mean?" "I mean exactly what I said. If they couldn't show up for their first daughter's wedding, why should I show up for their second daughter's? Susan, and I'm not the only one. Your Uncle Robert, Cousin Elaine, the Miller Snow of us are going." I lean against the counter, suddenly needing the support. "I don't want family to choose sides." "We're not choosing sides," Susan says, her voice firm. "We're acknowledging the truth. What your parents did was unforgivable, and now they're flaunting their favoritism like it's something to be proud of." After we hang up, I stand in the kitchen, my mind racing. Mark appears in the doorway, concern etched across his face. My phone buzzes with a text. "Lauren, why are you turning family against us?" The message is followed by a screenshot of a family group chat. Aunt Ruth asking my mother how she could miss my wedding but spend a fortune on Lauren's. Uncle Robert questioning if they understand what message they're sending. Cousin Elaine stating outright that she won't attend Lauren's wedding out of respect for me. A second text from Lauren follows. "You're ruining what should be the happiest time of my life." My hands tremble, that familiar guilt rising like an old friend. How many times had I stepped back, stayed quiet, made myself smaller to avoid being accused of overshadowing my sister? Mark reads the messages over my shoulder. "She's trying to make you responsible for your parents' actions." I take a deep breath, set my phone down without responding. In my home office, I pull out a leather-bound journal from my desk drawer. Mark gave it to me after the wedding, when I mentioned wanting to process everything that had happened. I've been hesitant to use it, afraid of what would pour out once I started. Now I open to the first blank page and begin writing. Kindergarten graduation. Lauren had a cold, so no one came to see me get my certificate. 8th grade science fair. First place, parents left early for Lauren's dance competition. High school valedictorian speech. They sat in the back, left immediately after. College tuition. Loans for me, fully paid for Lauren. Wedding day. Empty chairs. I write until my hand cramps, until the pattern becomes undeniable on paper. As I close the journal, a photograph slips out me at my MIT graduation, standing alone while nearby families cluster around other graduates, hugging and taking pictures. Mom had taken this photo, then immediately turned to help Lauren find the right lighting for her social media posts about attending her big sister's graduation. I'm done pretending this is normal, I say aloud to the empty room. When I return to the living room, Mark looks up from his laptop. I need to talk to them, I tell him, face to face. His expression shifts to concern. Are you sure that's a good idea? No, I sink into the chair across from him. But I'm done hiding from this. I need to say what I should have said years ago. I open my laptop, create a new email. The blinking cursor waits. We need to talk. This Sunday at your house, 2 p.m. My finger hovers over the send button as 33 years of conditioning screams at me to soften it, to apologize, to make excuses for them. I hit send. The soft electronic whoosh sounds like freedom. I tighten my grip on the steering wheel as I turn onto the familiar maple lined street. My parents' Tudor-style home comes into view, exactly as it has stood for 30 years imposing, pristine, perfect, just like their expectations. The driveway where I once played hopscotch now feels like foreign territory. I park behind my father's meticulously maintained Lexus and sit, engine off, gathering courage. Through the windshield, I study my mother's prized rose bushes. Each bloom perfectly shaped, not a petal out of place. Like everything else in her world, controlled to perfection. Mark's words from this morning echo in my head. Remember, Jess, their reaction doesn't define your worth. His eyes had held mine, steady and sure. No matter what happens in there, I'll be waiting when you come home. Home. The word settles in my chest with unexpected weight. My home isn't here anymore. It's with Mark, in our apartment with the crooked bookshelf and the ceiling fan that clicks when it's set too high. I take one final breath, grab my purse with the journal inside, and walk the stone path to the front door. No need to knock there expecting me. The heavy oak door opens with the same quiet precision it always has. The living room is exactly as I remember: cream-colored walls, tasteful artwork, furniture arranged at perfect angles. My mother stands by the coffee table, arranging teacups with nervous precision. My father sits in his leather armchair, newspaper folded neatly in his lap, expression unreadable. What hits me first are the photographs. The mantle is lined with Lauren's engagement photos, my sister and her fiancé beaming, my parents flanking them with rare smiles. A large silver frame holds an artsy shot of Lauren's hand, her massive diamond catching the light. There are no photos of my wedding. Not one. Jessica. My mother's voice breaks the silence. She doesn't move to hug me. Neither does my father. I set my purse down and remain standing. Mom? Dad. The clock on the mantel ticks 7 times before my father speaks. You wanted to talk. His voice is clipped, familiar in its impatience. So talk. I've rehearsed this moment countless times, but now that I'm here, the carefully prepared speech evaporates. Instead, I speak from the raw truth in my chest. I'm not jealous of Lauren's career, looks, or achievements. My voice comes out steadier than I expected. I'm jealous of the unconditional love and support you have always given her, but never even tried to give me. My mother's teacup clatters against its saucer. That's ridiculous. We treated you both equally. The absurdity of her statement would be comical if it weren't so painful. I reach for my journal, flipping it open to the pages I marked. Did you? Let me remind you. I run my finger down the first entry. Senior year of high school. My graduation dinner was canceled because Lauren had a last-minute modeling audition. You said we could celebrate another time. We never did. My father shifts in his seat. That was an important opportunity for her career. And my graduation wasn't important? I turn the page. My wedding day. You didn't show up. No call, no explanation. But you've put down a $75,000 deposit on Lauren's venue. That's different, my father interrupts, his face reddening. Lauren needed more support. You were always independent. The word lands like a slap. Independent? Or just ignored? My mother's eyes grow glassy. After everything we've done for you? What exactly have you done for me? The question hangs in the air, heavy and unanswered. The ticking of the clock fills the silence. My father's face reddens further. A vein appearing at his temple fee, same one I remember from childhood where I dared to question him. We put a roof over your head, he finally says. Fed you. Clothed you. I nod slowly. That's not parenting. That's the legal minimum. My mother's tearful expression hardens. You're being dramatic. Playing the victim. Something clicks into place inside me. I'm finally acknowledging I was one. I stand taller, shoulders back. I needed parents who showed up, who celebrated my achievements, who made me feel valued. If you came here just to attack us, my father begins, moving to stand. I came here to give you one chance to acknowledge what you've done. I cut in, to apologize. My parents exchange a glance, that silent communication I've seen thousands of times, the one that always preceded a united front against me. My mother's chin lifts. There's nothing to apologize for. This is all in your head. The last thread of hope I didn't even know I was holding snaps cleanly. In its place comes a calm certainty. Then we have nothing left to discuss. I reach into my purse and pull out a photograph Mark and me on our wedding day. Sunshine gilding our faces, joy radiating between us. I place it on the coffee table. This is what you missed. I won't let you miss any more of my life. My father stands, his height no longer intimidating to me. Don't be dramatic. You can't just cut off your family. I move toward the door, each step lighter than the last. Watch me. The door closes behind me with quiet finality. No slamming, no dramatics needed. The spring air fills my lungs, and for the first time in this house, I feel like I can breathe fully. My phone buzzes with a text from Mark. Whatever happened, I'm proud of you. I slide into my car and look back at the perfect house with its perfect rose bushes. Inside are two people who will never be able to see beyond their own reflection. But I can, and I do. As I drive away, I realize I'm not leaving my family behind. I'm going toward it, the one I've chosen, the one I'm building. The one where love doesn't come with conditions attached. The road ahead stretches clear and open. For the first time in 33 years, so does my future. When does protecting yourself from toxic family become the only healthy choice? Jessica has finally stood her ground, but Lauren isn't done fighting for control of the narrative. Next time, see what happens when the golden child realizes her power is slipping away and how far she'll go to get it back. I can't stop staring at the flickering flames in our fireplace, mesmerized by their dance across the wood. Mark sits beside me on our couch, his shoulder pressed against mine, a comfortable silence between us. 2 weeks have passed since I stood in my parents' immaculate living room and finally spoke the truth that had been lodged in my throat for 33 years. The quiet evening wraps around us like a warm blanket. I've stopped checking my phone constantly, no longer expecting or even wanting messages from my parents or Lauren. For the first time in my life, I feel the absence of that familiar knot in my stomach when thinking about my family. The sharp ping of Mark's phone cuts through our peace. He pulls it from his pocket, and I watch his expression shift, brows drawing together, jaw tightening. It's from Lauren, he says, tilting the screen so I can see. My stomach instantly reknots itself. A long message fills his screen, and my sister's name at the top feels like an intrusion into our sanctuary. Mark's voice remains steady as he reads aloud. As Jessica's sister and someone who deeply cares about her family, I feel obligated to reach out. He pauses, glancing at me before continuing. Family dynamics are complex. and someone as sensitive as Jessica may not fully grasp the bigger picture. My hands begin to tremble, not with anxiety, but with anger. The audacity of her worst, the calculated manipulation wrapped in false concern is so transparent it's almost laughable. Mark continues reading. Maintaining a good relationship with a successful family like ours could be beneficial for your future. She's trying to turn you against me, I say, my voice sharper than intended. The realization is like a splash of cold water. Of course, Lauren wouldn't confront me directly. She's going after Mark, trying to isolate me by attacking my strongest relationship. Mark sets his phone on the coffee table and takes my hands in his. She clearly doesn't know me very well if she thought this would work. His eyes, warm and steady, meet mine. Want to craft a response together? I nod, grateful for his immediate alliance. No questioning, no doubt, just unwavering support. Mark picks up his phone again, and we huddle together over the screen. His fingers hover above the keyboard as we discuss each sentence, each word. This isn't just a reply. It's a declaration of where we stand. How about this? Mark begins typing deliberately. Thank you for your concern about Jessica's well-being. As her husband, I focus on supporting her happiness, not managing her behavior. If you have concerns, please direct them to Jessica directly. Have a nice day. I watch the words appear over his shoulder, a smile forming on my lips. It's perfect, I say. Short, respectful, and completely shuts her down. Mark's finger hovers over the send button. He looks at me, one eyebrow raised in question. I nod, and he presses send. The response comes almost instantly, as if Lauren had been staring at her phone, waiting. Mark reads her reply aloud. I see she's poisoned you against the family too. Don't say I didn't try to help when this all blows up in your faces. Mark's surprised laugh fills our living room. Wow, she really showed her true colors fast. This is who she's always been. I say quietly. I just didn't want to see it. Mark sets down his phone and takes my hands again. The warmth of his palms grounds me, pulls me back from the edge of old patterns, the guilt, the second guessing, the wondering if maybe I am the problem. You know what this means, right? He says. You made the right decision. The realization washes over me like a wave. All those years, all those achievements that went unnoticed, all those moments of feeling invisible in my own home, I had believed something was fundamentally wrong with me. All those years I thought something was wrong with me, I whisper, voicing the revelation. Mark squeezes my hands. There never was. You just had the misfortune of being born to people who couldn't appreciate you. His voice drops lower, gentler. But I had the good fortune of finding someone who does. I rest my head on his shoulder, breathing in the familiar scent of his aftershave. The phone on the table has gone silent, but I know this isn't the end of Lauren's. My own phone rings, breaking the moment. Aunt Susan's name lights up the screen. Susan's calling. I tell Mark as I answer. Hey, what's up? Susan's voice comes through, animated with news about other family members reaching out to her and to me. 3 cousins have sent supportive texts. I haven't checked yet. My father's brother called to say he'd witnessed the favoritism for years but never knew how to address it. A network forming. A system of support I never knew existed. After ending the call, I check my messages. 3 new texts light up my screen, one from my cousin Rachel, another from Dad's younger brother, Uncle James, and surprisingly, one from Mom's college roommate Diane, who's been like an aunt to me. I'm proud of you for speaking your truth, Rachel's message reads. I've watched this happen since we were kids. You deserve better. Uncle James is more direct. Your father and I had a long talk yesterday. I told him exactly what I've observed over the years. He didn't take it well, but it needed to be said. Diane's message nearly brings tears to my eyes. I've kept quiet too long out of loyalty to your mother. I shouldn't have. You were always such a bright, wonderful child. I'm here if you need anything. I never realized how many people saw what was happening. I say, my voice tinged with wonder as I show the messages to Mark. He wraps an arm around my shoulders. Sometimes it takes standing up for yourself for others to feel brave enough to stand with you. I lean into him, feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing. Outside our window, the California sunset paints the sky in shades of gold and pink colors that remind me of my wedding day. The day my parents chose not to attend. The day that should have broken me but instead began to set me free. For the first time, I feel no ache when thinking of those empty chairs. What happens when the golden child's manipulation fails and the family facade begins to crumble? Lauren and her parents are about to discover that their carefully constructed image isn't as solid as they thought. In our next chapter, watch as Jessica finds her voice and a whole new definition of family. What would you do if you were Jessica? Share your thoughts in the comments. I can't stop staring at the empty chairs in Lauren's bridal shower photos. More wine? Mark asks, peering at my shoulder with the bottle. Our dining room hums with conversation as friends and family mingle around us. 3 months have passed since I walked out of my parents' house, and tonight our home feels like exactly what it is, a sanctuary built on genuine connection. Yes, please. I tear my eyes away from Susan's phone screen where Lauren's bridal shower is on full display. The image is picture perfect. Elegant floral arrangements, champagne flutes, expensive catering. But what catches my eye are the gaps, conspicuous empty spaces around a table meant to seat 30. Susan follows my gaze, her mouth twisting knowingly. The official excuse was food poisoning for half the family. Simultaneously, Rachel, my cousin, leans in. Half the family declined their invitations. Aunt Meredith, Uncle Jim, Grandma Jenkins, they all sent regrets. Her voice drops. Even people who never miss a family function. The revelation settles in my chest, not with the vindictive satisfaction I might have expected, but something quieter. Something like peace. What goes around comes around, I guess, Mark says, but there's no malice in his tone. Susan locks her phone and sets it face down. Your parents are in damage control mode. Your mother called me twice last week trying to explain away what happened at your wedding. She takes a long sip of wine. Something about a miscommunication with your driver. Then it was an emergency with your father's blood pressure. By the third version, it was apparently your fault for changing venues without telling them. I nearly choke on my wine. We got married exactly where we said we would. We all know that, Susan says. But they're desperate. The story isn't working anymore. The golden hour sun streams through our windows, catching the edges of photo frames on our mantle snapshots of our wedding, our friends, our chosen family. Not a single photo of my parents or Lauren. Grandma finally spoke up, Rachel adds, her voice carrying a note of awe. At the last family dinner, when your mom tried to explain your misunderstanding, Grandma just said, I've watched how you've treated that girl for 30 years, Catherine. Don't insult my intelligence now. The image of my grandmother, always quiet, always proper, standing up to my mother, sends a warm current through me. They can't understand why everyone is suddenly turning against them, Susan says, shaking her head. I trace the rim of my glass with my fingertip. It's not sudden, it's just finally visible. Later, after dinner plates have been cleared and coffee served, conversation turns to Lauren's wedding plans. The $75,000 venue now seems like a desperate attempt to fill space with opulence. Her latest posts are getting frantic, Rachel says, scrolling through her phone. She's offering +1s to distant cousins who already declined, even bribing people with upgraded accommodations. What do her posts say? Mark asks, genuinely curious. Rachel clears her throat dramatically. So disappointed by so-called family who are letting petty jealousy ruin what should be the happiest day of my life. True colors always show eventually. I feel nothing but a distant pity. The sister who once held such power over my emotional state now seems small and transparent. Living well really is the best revenge, Mark says, his arm warm around my shoulders. I lean into him. It's not even revenge. That would mean I still care enough to want to hurt them. The next morning finds me in our small garden. The spring air carries the scent of damp earth as I dig holes for the seedlings lined up in their plastic trays. Back in Connecticut, My mother tends her prized rose bushes with surgical precision, beautiful but cold, every thorn carefully maintained. My plants are different. Wildflowers, herbs, vegetables all mingled together in cheerful disorder. I paused to wipe soil from my hands, glancing at my therapy journal resting on the nearby bench. Its pages chart my journey, not in the careful penmanship of my childhood journals, but in messy, honest scrawls of breakthrough and growth. My phone buzzes. A text from my cousin Emma, barely 20 and struggling with her own overbearing parents. Can I call you for advice? Mom's being impossible about my apartment search. I send back an immediate yes. A year ago, I would have hesitated, afraid of becoming entangled in family drama. Now I understand sometimes the strongest people need permission to stand in their truth. When my phone buzzes again, it's Rachel sending Lauren's wedding photos from yesterday. The exclusive venue looks cavernous around the small cluster of guests. My parents stand rigidly in formal attire, their smiles fixed like porcelain masks, the kind of smiles that have graced 1,000 family photos, hiding 1,000 uncomfortable truths. I look at them for exactly 30 seconds before putting my phone away. Their problems aren't mine anymore, and that feels wonderful. What about this one? Mark asks, pulling up a listing on his tablet. We're curled on our couch planning our first anniversary celebration, but the conversation has drifted to houses. Houses with extra bedrooms. Houses with yards bigger than our current postage stamp garden. I like the oak tree in the backyard, I say, studying the photos. It looks established, like it has deep roots. Like us, he says simply. Around us, our apartment glows with the warm light of evening. Photos of our actual family, the people who show up, who celebrate genuinely, who love without conditions line our walls. Susan and her partner, Rachel and her children, friends who traveled across the country for our wedding, colleagues who've become like siblings. For the first time in my life, I'm not reaching for something just beyond my grasp. I'm holding it right here in my hands. What does true freedom from toxic family actually look like? As I build this new life free from manipulation and comparison, I'm discovering my peace isn't forgiveness or reconciliation, it's indifference. The quiet power of no longer needing them to see my worth. I slip my hand into Mark's. I think that house might be the one. We both know we're talking about more than real estate. I stand by our living room window, watching golden California lights spill across our garden. The view still catches me off guard sometimes, this beautiful home that Mark and I chose together, with its warm wood floors and windows that invite sunshine to dance across the walls. 1 year after that confrontation in my parents' living room, 1 year of breathing freely, I glanced down at the plastic stick in my hand, the 2 pink lines unmistakable. My hand instinctively moves to my still flat stomach, and for a moment, old fears rush in. Will I be like them? Will I somehow fail my child the way they failed me? But the panic subsides as quickly as it rose. I catch my reflection in the window glass, seeing not uncertainty but quiet determination in my eyes. I used to worry I'd be like my parents. I whisper to my reflection, to the life growing inside me. Now I know exactly what kind of parent I won't be. Mark's arms slide around my waist, his chin resting on my shoulder as he looks at the test in my hand. Are you ready to tell everyone? He asks, his voice warm against my ear. I nod, turning in his embrace. More than ready. Aunt Susan's laugh carries across our backyard as she pulls a tray of my grandmother's cinnamon rolls from the oven. The familiar scent fills our kitchen, not perfectly executed like my mother's precise baking, but comfortingly imperfect, with slightly uneven frosting and an extra dash of cinnamon. Your grandmother would be so proud, Susan says, setting the tray on our table. Not just of these, she gestures to the rolls, but of you, Jessica. I swallow past the sudden tightness in my throat. My cousins Rachel and David chat with Mark near the grill, while friends from work arrange platters of fruit on the patio table. People who choose to be here. People who see me. When everyone gathers around our patio table, Mark takes my hand and we share our news. Genuine joy erupts around Ushugs, tears, laughter. Not the polite, measured responses I grew up with, but unrestrained celebration. Susan wraps her arms around me, whispering fiercely, "This child will never wonder if they're loved or valued." Her words reach a place deep inside me that still needs healing. The card arrives 3 weeks later. I recognize my mother's handwriting, immediately the perfect, measured cursive that once sent my heart racing with anxiety. Today, I simply turn the envelope over in my hands, feeling nothing but calm curiosity. Mark pauses at the kitchen doorway, watching me. "You okay?" I nod, surprising myself with how true it is. "Completely fine." The cream-colored envelope opens with a clean tear. Inside, a check with too many zeros and a card with formal congratulations on the pregnancy news. The message is typed, not handwritten. "Congratulations on your wonderful news," as if written to distant acquaintances. No mention of our confrontation, no acknowledgement of their absence from our lives. Just a transaction, as if money could bridge what words and presence never did. "What do you want to do with it?" Mark asks, his voice careful. I study the check for a moment, remembering all the times money substituted for attention, the expensive birthday gifts that arrived without my parents, the college tuition paid without campus visits. "I'm returning it," I say, pulling out a notepad. My handwriting flows steadily as I write, "We don't need your money, just wanted you to know you'll be grandparents." I seal it in a fresh envelope, address it with steady hands. No anger fuels my words. No bitterness shapes them. Just facts and boundaries. The auditorium lights are bright as I accept the Harriman Award for Innovation. Hundreds of colleagues rise for a standing ovation, their applause washing over me in waves. As I look out at the sea of faces, I realize I'm not thinking about my parents at all. No, I'll show them vengeance drives me. This moment belongs solely to Meadow, the work I've done, the problems I've solved, the team I've led. When I find Mark's face in the crowd, his pride is transparent, unconditional, so different from the measured approval I chased for decades. Tonight, I sit at my desk, journal open before me. The moon casts silver light across the pages as I write. The strangest part of freedom is realizing how long you lived without it. Each day that passes, I shed another layer of that invisible weight. Each achievement stands on its own merit, not as proof of my worth. Success isn't proving your worth to people who never valued you. It's building a life where you never have to question your worth again. I close the journal and rest my hand on my growing belly, feeling the slight curve that wasn't there a few weeks ago. The cycle ends with me, I promise quietly. And for the first time in my life, I fully believe my own words.